All right, so let's get to the final dialog that I wanted to look at in this section, and that's the custom progress dialog function. And that is the function that I'm using in order to create this custom progress dialog, which is this progress here, and it's a custom one. So there was one back in the day that you could automatically use in Android, but now well, it's deprecated, so you need to have a little workaround here, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to show you how to create this thing, because we are going to need it for our application when we have a background process which needs to run, and we don't want the user to do anything while that happens. So in this case, it's a very short one because we can anytime cancel it. But let's get a look at how we can build this thing. So first of all, I have this little function, and it's called, once I click on this button here, which is this button custom progress dialog. So once we click on it, I call this function custom progress dialog function. And you could of course call this one custom progress dialog view or appearance or something like that. But basically what it does is it creates a dialog. All right. And I call this one custom progress dialog. But here I set the content view to be our layout dialog custom progress. So what is this dialog custom progress? Well, it's another layout file, and it's another one that I created myself. So you can create this as you like. It has to, of course, fit in the screen, but other than that, you can create whatever you want. What of course makes sense is to have a progress bar. So maybe you want to have a progress bar which the user needs to see in order to see how far the progress is. I mean, how far the download, for example, has done, or how far the upload is, and how far the user is with whatever process he wants to finish. And then you can use a progress bar. And the progress bars are a pretty cool feature. They have a bunch of cool properties here that you can assign and use. But if you want to know more about progress bars, then I would really recommend to check out the progress bar documentation. For example, if you want to set the progress directly, you can set it here to 25%, for example, and so forth. So you have a bunch of options that you can play around with. As you can see, it's a very long class once again, so a bunch of different attributes that you can look at and so forth. All right. Okay, so let's get back to the code. There we have the progress bar, which is this little icon here. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. This icon that will constantly move around because we're not controlling it otherwise, and we just want it to move like that. And then we have this text view which just says please wait. Okay, and this text view is in black, it's 16 SP, but what's interesting here is that it's within a linear layout where I have the gravity set to center, so the two are next to each other because the orientation is set to horizontal. So that's why the two are just perfectly next to each other. And the progress bar has a margin end, which means a margin towards the right, which gives it some space to this please wait text. Okay, so that's basically the XML file, and as I said, you can customize it as you like. And then the only thing we do is we say custom progress dialog.show. So we're just showing that dialog. And dialogs, they have of course some other options as we saw before, so you can adjust it as you please. But in our case, when we click on it, it just appears in the middle, and then I can click it away. But you can of course force it not to get away or go away once we click on it. But most of the times you will use that for something super short because you don't want to freeze the UI for a long period of time. That should be something that can happen within half a second or second. So it's best if the user can't even read whatever the text here is. So that's how short these dialogues should be, these progress dialogues. In the context of dialogues, I can highly recommend to check out the documentation here, and especially guides, because you can see there are a bunch of guides here, and one of them is for dialogues. So if you want to know more about how to create a custom dialogue, this is the place to go, because here you have a bunch of code examples, a bunch of layout examples, which I really like. And yeah, you have the Kotlin code here directly, so you can copy it and use it for yourself. You can see how you can positive, negative, and neutral buttons, and you can have lists and so forth. So a bunch of options, pretty cool stuff. You can design it as you like. And here is the documentation that can really help you out. And of course, it's not the only thing that you can find here, not only dialogues, but you can find guides here on a lot of different topics. Some are better than others, and yeah, I would definitely recommend to check out the documentation every now and then in order to get a better understanding of what is going on. Something that I really like is, for example, drag and drop, because drag and drop is a cool feature in apps and it feels good. So you could of course check out the documentation on that, even though we're not using drag and drop in our applications yet. But that's not to hold you back, because it's really your own experience. You should make this course your very own experience, and part of it is to learn stuff around the course and not just the course stuff itself, because course content itself is great and I really put a lot of effort into creating a great course, but of course I cannot cover everything, and that's not even necessary, because there are a bunch of guides which are amazing here in the documentation. All right, so I'd say that's enough for now. Good luck with the guides that you find here. If you find something super duper useful and you want to share it, of course, please share it with the other students. And yeah, see you in the next video.